Hi, everyone, and welcome to another social science coffee break. I'm Stacy Allen, and I am joined today by my lovely colleague, Paul. And we will be sharing two resources, one for the elementary level and one for the secondary level, related to geography, history, and citizenship education at the elementary and high school level, that can also be used to build your and your students' digital competency. So I'm going to begin with my elementary resource for today, which was just published about an hour ago, which is Discovering the Mur-écran, and it is a mapping activity for cycle 3. Now, I was really excited. I'm originally not from Quebec to learn about the mur-écran this week. I thought it was a wonderful example to teach students about the relationship between people and the territory and how we create these adaptations in our communities to for economic benefits and other benefits related to our culture and well-being. So in this activity, students view documents, text documents, and video clips off of YouTube to learn more about the mur-écran. And all of these elements are contained in a Google or a Canva presentation that students can create a template link of. And then in the activity, students also have to map a bit of the location. So on a map, they have to outline where the mur-écran is. They have to showcase where the wind would have been like hitting the mur and redirected. And they also have to try to spot some of the mining locations around that geographic area. So I will show you an example of this activity. Again, it is all contained in a Canva presentation. However, for the mapping part, you could also use Google My Maps or a cartograph or some other mapping tools that you might be familiar with for students to create their own map. Right, so here is the post. Okay, and I'm going to open it up as a public view link. You'll notice there's a few links embedded here. The public view link in Canva allows you to preview an example of the activity, but you'll notice that there's also a template link down below that allows you to make a copy of the presentation in your own Canva Drive, Canva account, which you can then edit to your liking and then assign to your students. Okay. So here is the main page of the activity. You'll see that it's broken up into 4 main steps. So students read, watch, map, and then they answer the inquiry question. Okay. Students again can make a template or a copy of this template and do all the complete activity in one file. So for example, here are the texts that students could read. If they have a copy open in their drive, they can also highlight or change the text colors to practice how to analyze a document. You could also project this text on the classroom whiteboard and kind of model how you could analyze the text as a class. Um, so then it goes to step 2, where students could watch at least one of the 2 videos. They're relatively short, under 2 minutes. One here is an information video, and then the one on the right is drone footage of the area. So you can see here, if you can see my cursor, I hope it shows up on my Zoom screen. You can see a bit of the outline for the mur-écran. And here you have a breakdown of the mapping activities. So students have to locate the mur-écran. They can add the wind, again, using icons or using the drawing tool in Canva. And they have to identify the purpose. So look for evidence of the mining industry in the community. On the left here, you'll see the different icons that represent where students would have to click on their Canvas screen. But again, this part of the activity could also be completed in My Maps or Cartograph. So on slide 6, you see the map that students could draw on. This is the background of the slide. So if they're in Canva, they cannot move any of the text or the map. It's all locked in place. They can physically draw on the different sections and add sticky notes and so on. And then the last slide of this activity is where students can answer the inquiry question. And to promote universal design for learning, you can encourage them to either write their own text, but also record the audio or video or draw directly in the space provided in Canva. Okay. So I really hope you enjoy this activity. It's really short. I wanted to create an activity that teachers could easily facilitate within a 45-minute period or so. Let us know what you think and have fun. Without further ado, then I will pass it on to Paul, who will share another mapping or outdoor related resource for this week.
Thank you very much, Stacy. It's fantastic what you do, and that's a really interesting resource. Um, Very interesting location, and great. I'm sure students would love exploring that on maps, digital maps especially. That's my thing. I want to share today an example of using a digital mapping tool called Cartograph, which we featured in several other videos that's available on through Learn. And this is I actually dug up an old example this time of an activity. It's actually could have been one of the first ones that we did for Cartograph. And I realized we hadn't shown it. And it's a perfect example of a mapping tool, mapping activity, but also a local history exploration. Obviously, in this case, if you're in Quebec City, this could apply directly to you as a local history outdoor education type of activity. But the model can be used for any city, whether it's a heritage site like Quebec or another kind of historical, important historical site. So basically, what this is, it's a mapping scenario where students are going to create their own tourist map of Quebec. So remember, a scenario is a small section of a larger learning activity or learning unit where students have probably already learned a lot about heritage cities in this case, and Quebec in particular already before they go out. Why do it this way? Because they learn about Quebec as a UNESCO World Heritage Site by actually going out. Local classes can actually visit those sites, and the activity asks them to take pictures and include their own photos and their experiences visiting these places in their mapping project. Who's it for? This is a part of the secondary Cycle 1 geography program, one of the kinds of different types of cities at Heritage City. And Quebec is one of the choices that you could focus on. So where's the activity? It is available on the educator's site and directly on Cartograph as a sample map. So I'll go through. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go directly to Cartograph and show you. So if you search, like I said, if you search it on Learn, you'd find it. But if you go directly to Cartograph, it is also featured in the history secondary level. No, sorry, excuse me, geography secondary level. Here it is right here, Quebec as a heritage site. So it's actually up there as a sample mapping activity. So in this, it says what I said before. You're going to create a tourist map using the instructions and resources provided. You'll locate, describe, and explain some historically important sites in Quebec. For the purposes of this project, we're going to downplay the negative sides of it, but concentrate on why it should be on the UNESCO list. Um, so there's a process involved. You can brainstorm some locations, do some research, different kinds of sites, economic, cultural, and military, and you'll perform various operations while you're doing this activity like placing in time and considering factors and consequences. So if I click here, it actually starts with a sample map, and as in many of our sample maps, the instructions are duplicated here. And the reason why this is like this is so that students can duplicate this map and have the instructions come along with their map. So they could create a new map if they wanted, if they log in. But if they click duplicate, this map will duplicate and they'll have this outline of Quebec City. And they'll also have this sample point. They could delete this sample point or edit it. If they visited it, they can edit it and add their own pictures. I want to show you what's in the sample point though. This is a Finlay Market Street and Wharf. It's a picture of of an old town area, and it shows that the image itself has been edited. So, of course, you're going to put information about the location, what you saw, depending on your teacher's requirements. But this is actually drawn. It's actually, as it says down below, it's a screen capture of an incomplete one. But you can actually do this in CartGraph. This is a screen capture of an old image that was edited in CartGraph. If you log in, you can press edit. There'll be a little edit button here, and you can draw shapes on images, and you can actually insert other images if you know the URL to compare what it was like. And at any point, you can upload three or four different images, a max. So you can upload your own photos, or also a Google Street View. So students not in Quebec could use photos of Quebec City and locate where they are, or they could use Street View images by using the little bonhomme, little man icon there at the top, and inserting. Again, the help files will explain how that's done. So yes, that's my share for today. A little mapping scenario where students can map locations in Heritage City. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.